Dr. Kreshitar stood in front of the Galactic Science Council, his 3 arms trembling slightly. The council chamber was vast, filled with beings from 60 different worlds. Each council member sat in their environmental pod, breathing their own air. Dr. Kreshitar, the lead council member, spoke through the translator. You have studied over 200 species in your career. Yes, honored council. We have a problem with the humans. Dr. Kreshitar's middle eye blinked. Humans were new to the galactic community. They had only made contact 6 months ago. What kind of problem? Strength. Our initial tests show they are physically average. Medium bone density, standard muscle mass, typical cardiovascular system, but the field reports contradict these findings. Another council member spoke up. Human soldiers lifted debris weighing 300 kilograms during the Station 7 accident, without tools, without assistance. A human engineer worked for 26 hours straight to repair the jump gate at Epsilon Station. Added a third. No sleep, no stimulants, just kept working. The lead council member leaned forward. Dr. Kreshitar, you must investigate. We need to understand why humans are so strong when their biology suggests they should not be. I will board one of their vessels, Dr. Kreshitar said. I will observe them in their natural working environment. 3 days later, Dr. Kreshitar stepped aboard the UGS Discovery. The ship was smaller than most galactic vessels designed for deep space exploration. The airlock sealed behind him, and he breathed in the human atmosphere for the first time. It felt light, almost sweet. Dr. Kreshitar? A voice came from his left. A human female approached, tall and slim with dark skin and short curly hair. I'm Commander Jake Peterson. Welcome aboard. Dr. Kreshitar's translator struggled with the name. Commander Jake Peterson? Just call me Jake. The human smiled. Jake raised one hand with the palm facing outward. Dr. Kreshitar had read about this gesture, a greeting. He tried to copy it with his right arm. Please follow me. I'll show you to your quarters, then introduce you to the key crew. Dr. Kreshitar followed Jake through narrow corridors. The ship was cramped compared to Vexnari vessels. Everything was built for humans. Doorways, chairs, control panels. He had to duck slightly to avoid bumping his head. They stopped at a door. Your room. We've modified the bed and added some equipment for your environmental needs. Meals will be provided separately. Our food might not agree with your system. Thank you, Dr. Kreshitar said. He entered the room and set down his observation equipment. When he turned back, Jake was still there. I want you to know we're excited to have you here. Not many of us have met a Vexnari before. My crew will cooperate fully with your research. Dr. Kreshitar nodded. He had expected resistance. Most species were defensive when being studied. I appreciate this. My research is important for understanding your species better. Jake smiled again. Humans smiled frequently, Dr. Kreshitar noted. Let me introduce you to the senior staff. Their first stop was the engineering section. The room buzzed with activity and smelled of hot metal. A human female with long dark hair tied back worked at a console. She wore blue coveralls stained with grease. Maria Santos, our chief engineer, Jake said. Maria, this is Dr. Kreshitar. Maria wiped her hands on a cloth and extended one to him. Another human gesture. He awkwardly took her hand in his right arm. Welcome to engineering. Watch out for the low pipes and don't touch anything that sparks. Dr. Kreshitar looked around. The humans worked with tools that seemed primitive. Wrenches instead of molecular reassemblers. Manual welding instead of atom bonding. Your technology is different. We make do, Maria said. Sometimes the old ways work best. Plus, when things break down out here, you can't always wait for replacements. They moved to the security office next. A large human male sat at a control station monitoring screens. His muscles were visible even under his uniform. This was closer to what Dr. Kreshitar expected from strong beings. Dan Murphy, security. Chief, Jake introduced. Dan stood up. He towered over Dr. Kreshitar and Jake. Doctor, heard a lot about your species. Your work on the Crack's High anatomy helped save my cousin's life last year. Your cousin? He's stationed on a mixed-species outpost. Got injured, but the medics used your research to treat him properly. Dr. Kreshitar filed this information away. Humans formed extended family connections across vast distances. I am pleased my work helped. Finally, they reached the science lab. A human female with straight black hair looked up from a microscope. She wore a white coat and glasses, optical, correction devices humans still used. Lisa Chang, our science officer, Jake said. She'll be your primary contact during your research. Lisa stepped forward. Dr. Kreshitar, I've read all your papers. Your study on extremophile adaptation was brilliant. I'm looking forward to working with you. Thank you. I will need to conduct various tests, observe daily operations, and document physical capabilities. Whatever you need. I've prepared detailed health records for the crew, with their permission, of course. Jake clapped his hands together, another human gesture. Well, that's the core team. Dr. Kreshitar, please feel free to explore the ship. Meals are at 0700, 1200, and 1800. If you need anything, just ask. Left alone, Dr. Kreshitar returned to his quarters. He opened his observation equipment and began his initial notes. Day 1. Human physiology appears average across all measurements. Bone density, 1.1 standard units. Muscle mass, 0.9 standard units. Cardiovascular efficiency, 1.0 standard units. Social behavior shows high cooperation levels and frequent physical contact. Technology is primitive by galactic standards, yet they achieve similar results. Further observation needed. He paused, thinking about the humans he had met. They seemed friendly, almost eager to help. Most species he studied were either hostile or indifferent. This was unusual. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. The intercom activated. All hands, Cargo Bay 6, we have a situation. Dr. Kreshitar grabbed his equipment and headed toward the cargo bay. Perhaps he would observe something interesting after all. The cargo bay was massive, filled with sealed containers and loading equipment. Several humans stood around a storage unit that had somehow become wedged between two larger containers. The magnetic locks failed, Maria explained when she saw him. The container shifted during maneuvers. Now it's stuck. Dan examined the situation. Container's about 400 kilograms. If we can lift it just 10 centimeters, we can slide it out. Jake nodded. Maintenance won't have proper equipment for 3 hours. 3 hours? Maria shook her head. That medicine shipment for the colony needs to go out in 2 hours. Dr. Kreshitar watched, fascinated. The container was wedged tight. Most species would wait for proper equipment. What would the humans do? Lisa, can you calculate the force needed? Dan asked. Lisa tapped on a portable device. To lift it 10 centimeters, accounting for friction, approximately 380 kilograms of upward force. Dan walked to the container and placed his hands underneath. That's within range. Maria, you take the other side. Jake, guide it out when we lift. Dr. Kreshitar's eyes widened. They plan to lift the container manually? On 3, Dan said. 1, 2, 3. Dan and Maria lifted. The container rose slowly. Jake reached in and began pulling it toward them. For 30 seconds they held the weight. Dr. Kreshitar could see the strain on their faces, the tension in their muscles. Then the container came free and they lowered it safely. Dan straightened up, breathing heavily but smiling. Not bad for a day's work. Maria rubbed her shoulders. Speak for yourself. I'm definitely feeling that. Dr. Kreshitar stood there, his 3 arms hanging loose in shock. He had just witnessed humans lift 380 kilograms without powered assistance. His initial measurements showed they shouldn't be capable of such feats. Is this normal? He asked. Jake laughed. Pretty standard problem solving around here. When you need something done, you find a way to do it. As the humans returned to their duties, Dr. Kreshitar retreated to his quarters to update his notes. Day 1. Addendum. Witnessed humans performing feats beyond their measured physical capabilities. Must investigate further. There is clearly something I am missing. Dr. Crescitar spent the next 3 days observing the crew of the Discovery. He measured their heart rates during work, recorded their sleep patterns, and documented their food intake. Everything remained within expected parameters, yet they continued to do things that seemed impossible for their size. On the 4th morning, he found Dan Murphy in the ship's small gymnasium. The human was hanging from a metal bar, lifting his entire body weight repeatedly. Next to him, Maria Santos ran on a machine while reading a technical manual. "Is this your strength training?" Dr. Crescitar asked. Dan dropped down, barely breathing hard. "Just my morning routine. Keeps me in shape." "Shape? You are already shaped like a human." Maria laughed while still running. "He means we exercise to stay strong and healthy." Dr. Crescitar watched Dan continue his routine. The human performed exercises using his own body weight as resistance. Push-ups, sit-ups, stretching, simple movements but repeated many times. "Your species maintains fitness through constant training?" Dr. Crescitar asked. "Pretty much," Maria panted. "Use it or lose it, as we say. Use it or lose it. If you don't exercise your muscles regularly, they get weaker, so we keep active." This was puzzling. Most species Dr. Crescitar studied had fixed strength levels. Vexnari, for example, were born with their full muscle capacity. Humans seemed to constantly work to maintain and improve theirs. Later that day, Dr. Crescitar was in the cargo bay with Jake and Lisa when the emergency alert sounded. "Collision warning! All hands to secure stations." The lights dimmed and turned red. Jake immediately activated his comm device. "This is the captain. Report." "Debris field ahead," came the reply. "Massive cargo container broke loose from a freighter. It's tumbling directly in our path. Time to impact? 90 seconds. Jake was already moving. "Lisa, with me to the bridge. Dr. Crescitar, secure yourself here." The ship shuddered as it began evasive maneuvers. Through the viewing port, Dr. Crescitar could see a massive metal container spinning toward them. Pieces of debris scattered in all directions. The ship lurched violently. A loud crash echoed through the cargo bay. Several storage units broke, free from their magnetic locks. They slid across the floor, crashing into walls and equipment. Dr. Crescitar grabbed onto a support beam as another impact sent him flying. He landed hard against a wall. His middle arm twisted painfully. Through the chaos, he saw something that made his blood run cold. A massive support beam had broken loose from the ceiling. It swung down like a pendulum, heading directly toward Maria Santos, who had been thrown to the ground during the impact. She looked up, eyes wide, but couldn't move fast enough. Dan Murphy appeared from nowhere. He didn't run toward her. Instead, he threw himself under the swinging beam, catching it with both arms raised above his head. The beam was as thick as Dr. Crescitar's torso, and at least 8 meters long. Dan's arms shook under the weight, his face twisted in pain. But he held it. "Maria, move!" Dan shouted through gritted teeth. Maria scrambled out from underneath. The moment she was clear, Dan rolled sideways, letting the beam crash to the floor where she had been. The ship's systems finally compensated, and the tumbling stopped. Emergency lights switched to normal illumination. Dan sat on the floor, breathing heavily, his arms hanging limp at his sides. Dr. Crescitar crawled over to him. How did you catch that beam? The weight must have been..." Dan looked up, sweating profusely. "I don't know. I just saw Maria in danger and reacted." Maria knelt beside them. "Dan, are you okay? That was insane." "I'll live. Just give me a minute." Dr. Crescitar reached for his scanner, his twisted arm protesting. He needed to examine Dan immediately. "Your physiology should not allow for such feats. The beam weighed at least 800 kilograms. Your muscle capacity, according to my measurements." "Doc, I'm not sure you understand adrenaline," Lisa said, appearing in the doorway. "Is everyone all right?" "Adrenaline?" Jake helped Dan to his feet. "Fight or flight response. When humans face extreme danger, our bodies can temporarily exceed normal physical limits." Dr. Crescitar stared at them. Your bodies change? Not permanently, Maria explained. But in emergencies, we can access more strength than usual. Our hearts beat faster, muscles get more oxygen, pain sensitivity decreases. This is biological. Manipulation? It's a survival mechanism, Lisa added, developed over millions of years of evolution. When our ancestors faced predators or life-threatening situations, their bodies would flood with hormones that enabled extraordinary feats. Dr. Kreshitar needed to document this. And all humans possess this ability? To varying degrees, yes, Jake confirmed, though some handle stress better than others. Over the next several hours, Dr. Kreshitar interviewed each crew member about their experiences with adrenaline. The stories astounded him. Maria described working for 14 hours straight without sleep when the ship's life support failed in the mining colony. She had improvised repairs using spare parts, modified systems that weren't designed to work together, and kept herself awake through sheer will. I barely remember the last 6 hours, she admitted. My body was running on pure determination. Jake told him about maintaining command during a battle situation, making split-second decisions while debris flew around the bridge. You don't think, you just react. Somehow your brain processes information faster. Lisa shared her experience during a research expedition gone wrong, carrying an injured colleague across 15 kilometers of rough terrain. I didn't think I could do it, but I did. The human body is capable of incredible things when necessary. Dr. Kreshitar spent the evening compiling his notes. His findings challenged everything he understood about physical capabilities. Day 7. Humans possess an emergency biological response called adrenaline. This state allows them to exceed normal physical and mental limitations, not magic or technology, but biological fact. They can lift weights far above their measured capacity, work beyond normal endurance limits, and process information with increased speed and clarity. This ability activates automatically in life-threatening situations. He paused, considering his next observation. Most remarkable, this response is not limited to physical strength. Humans demonstrate enhanced creativity, problem-solving abilities, and emotional resilience during crisis situations. Their bodies and minds work in concert to overcome challenges that would defeat many galactic species. His comlink buzzed. Lisa's voice came through. Dr. Kreshitar, sorry to disturb you. We've received a distress call from a civilian transport. Pirates. We're responding. Pirates. Armed hostiles seeking to rob and potentially harm civilians. We're the nearest ship capable of mounting a rescue. This will be dangerous? Extremely. But that's what we do. You're welcome to observe from the bridge if you'd like to continue your research. Dr. Kreshitar gathered his equipment. Another emergency. Another chance to witness these humans under stress. Based on what he had learned today, the pirates had no idea what they were facing. As he made his way to the bridge, he wondered how many other aspects of human strength he had yet to discover. The adrenaline response was just one piece of the puzzle. What other surprises did these beings possess? The bridge was already in full activity when he arrived. Crew members moved with practiced efficiency, their faces showing determination rather than fear. Jake stood at the center console, calm and focused. Pirates holding a transport with 40 civilians aboard, Jake announced. Standard procedure. Lisa, I want a full tactical analysis. Dan, prepare boarding teams. Maria, all power to shields and weapons. Dr. Kreshitar found an observation station. He had witnessed their emergency response. Now he would observe them in combat. He had a feeling he was about to see even more surprising displays of human capability. The bridge hummed with tension as the Discovery approached the distressed transport. Dr. Kreshitar watched the main screen, where a small civilian ship sat helpless while 3 pirate vessels circled like predators. Target the transport's engines, but keep civilians safe, Jake ordered. His voice was steady, but Dr. Kreshitar could see the human's heart rate had increased on his scanner. 2 pirate vessels moving to intercept, Lisa announced from her station. They're armed with plasma cannons. Dr. Kreshitar expected panic. Any reasonable species would retreat from superior numbers. Instead, the human crew moved with precise coordination. Maria, route power from non-essential systems to shields, Jake instructed. Dan, prep your teams for boarding action. Boarding action? Dr. Kreshitar asked. You plan to enter the pirate vessels? Dan checked his weapon. We're going to rescue those civilians. The first blast rocked the Discovery. Through the viewing port, Dr. Kreshitar saw green plasma fire streak past. Return. Fire target their weapon systems only, Jake commanded. We need those ships intact. Lieutenant Chen, a human Dr. Kreshitar hadn't met before, worked his weapons console. His hands moved across controls with remarkable speed and accuracy. 2 missiles launched, striking the lead pirate ship precisely where Jake had indicated. Direct, hit on their forward cannons, Chen reported. Minimal hull damage. Dr. Kreshitar was astounded. During combat, Chen's fine motor control had actually improved. His movements were more precise under stress, not less. Another blast hit their shields. The lights flickered and several crew members stumbled. Dr. Kreshitar grabbed his observation station as the deck tilted. Shields at 60%, Maria called out. Compensating for power drain. Jake maintained his position at the command console, seemingly unaffected by the chaos. Lisa, find me a weakness in their formation. Lisa's fingers flew over her tactical display. If we feint left and then break right, we can get behind them. It'll put us in crossfire for about 8 seconds. 8 seconds, Jake repeated. Dan, can your teams be ready? 5 minutes for full breach preparation, Dan replied while coordinating with his security staff. Dr. Kreshitar observed something remarkable. Despite the danger, despite the violence, none of the humans showed the fear responses he expected. Their fear existed. His scanner detected elevated stress hormones, but they channeled it into focused action. The pirates are hailing us, Lieutenant Park announced from communications. On screen, Jake ordered. A grotesque alien face appeared, covered in scales and sporting multiple eyes. Human vessel, withdraw immediately or we destroy the transport, Jake stepped forward. Release the civilians unharmed and we'll let you leave. The pirate leader laughed, a harsh sound. You are outnumbered 3-1. I don't think you understand who you're dealing with, Jake replied calmly. The transmission ended. Dr. Kreshitar noticed something odd. Jake had been bluffing. He had no superior forces, but his confidence had been absolute. All hands execute maneuver Theta 7. Chen, fire on my mark. The Discovery suddenly changed direction, diving beneath the pirate formation. Dr. Kreshitar felt his stomach drop as artificial gravity struggled to compensate. Plasma fire filled space around them. A blast caught their starboard side, sending sparks flying from an overloaded console. Incoming on the right, someone shouted. Jake never wavered. Hold course. Chen, mark. The Discovery's weapons fired. 2 pirate ships took direct hits to their engines. The third ship, trying to pursue, collided with floating debris from its disabled companions. Now, Jake ordered. Dan, go. Security. Teams launched from the Discovery in small shuttles heading directly for the transport ship. Dr. Kreshitar accessed the shuttle's communication feed. Dan's voice came through clearly despite the chaos. Blue team, you're on rescue. Green team, secure the transport bridge. Red team is with me, we're going for their leader. The security teams breached the transport with practiced efficiency. Dr. Kreshitar watched their helmet cameras display feed on a secondary monitor. They moved through corridors filled with civilians, quickly identifying threats while avoiding. Panic, move, Dan directed his teams. Clear left, civilians on the right. When the teams encountered armed pirates, Dr. Kreshitar witnessed something extraordinary. The humans didn't just react faster than their opponents. They seemed to predict the pirates' movements. Dan rolled behind cover just as a blast scorched the wall where he'd been standing. He emerged at an angle the pirate clearly hadn't expected, stunning the attacker with a precise shot. How did you know where he would fire? Dr. Kreshitar asked Lisa, who was monitoring the operation. Training, she explained. Human military. Doctrine emphasizes understanding likely behavior patterns. We study how different species think, how they fight. It becomes instinct. The rescue proceeded with remarkable speed. Dan's team secured the transport in less than 20 minutes. During that time, they rescued 42 civilians and captured 11 pirates, all without a single civilian casualty. When Dan returned to the bridge, his team looked exhausted, but satisfied. Dr. Kreshitar noticed something he hadn't expected. Several team members were helping injured pirates receive medical care. "You helped those who attacked you?" Dr. Kreshitar asked. Dan removed his helmet. "They're defeated. No reason to let them suffer." "But they would have killed civilians." "That's exactly why we can't be like them," Maria added, appearing with a medical kit. "Being human means we have choices. We choose to help, even when it's difficult." Dr. Kreshitar spent the next hour observing the aftermath. The human crew worked tirelessly to repair both ships, tend to wounded, and process the pirates for galactic authorities. What struck him most was their behavior toward the rescued civilians. Lisa spoke softly to a family of Griktal, using their basic language despite the awkward sounds. Chen shared his food rations with hungry children. Maria explained technical problems in simple terms to keep anxious passengers calm. "Your species shows remarkable emotional intelligence," Dr. Kreshitar observed to Jake. "We have to," Jake replied. "Humans evolved in groups. We survived by understanding each other, cooperating, knowing when to trust and when to be cautious." "This cooperative instinct makes you stronger?" "Absolutely, watch this," Jake announced to the crew. "We need to repair the transport's navigation system. It's a tricky job." Immediately, Lisa approached with data pads. Chen offered his technical expertise. Maria suggested alternative solutions. Dan organized the security, protocols needed. In minutes, a complex problem had assembled a skilled team without Jake needing to assign specific tasks. "You don't wait for orders," Dr. Kreshitar noted. "We see what needs doing and pitch in," Maria explained. "It's not about following orders. It's about getting the job done together." Dr. Kreshitar retreated to his quarters that evening with much to process. His notes grew lengthy. Day 10. Human strength extends beyond physical capabilities. Observed exceptional performance under extreme stress. Crew maintained precise motor control and enhanced pattern recognition during combat situation. These abilities appear linked to their evolutionary development in cooperative social groups. He paused, considering his next observation. Humans demonstrate unique psychological resilience. They transform fear into focused action, channel aggression into protective behavior, and maintain ethical standards even when facing hostile forces. Their strength appears to compound when working together. Individuals become more capable within the group dynamic. His observations were challenging everything the galactic community believed about strength. Humans weren't just physically remarkable. They possessed mental and emotional capabilities that amplified their effectiveness exponentially. A soft chime interrupted his thoughts. Lisa's voice came through his comlink. "Dr. Kreshitar, we're hosting a celebration dinner for the rescue mission. The civilian captain wants to thank everyone personally. You're invited to attend." Dr. Kreshitar considered declining. His research was more important than social gatherings. But then he realized this was exactly the kind of social behavior he needed to understand. "I will attend," he responded, as he prepared to join the gathering. He wondered what other aspects of human strength he would discover. Their cooperative nature seemed fundamental to their success, but he suspected there were still more layers to uncover. The dining hall buzzed. With multiple species and languages when he arrived, humans moved easily between groups, translating when needed, sharing stories, creating an atmosphere of warmth despite the recent crisis. Watching them interact, Dr. Kreshitar realized another truth. Humans didn't just possess strength, they created it in others. Through their actions, their empathy, their unstoppable drive to help, they brought out capabilities in those around them. This was a strength no other species he'd studied had demonstrated. The ability to inspire and elevate others might be humanity's greatest power of all. The celebration dinner was still ongoing when alarms began blaring throughout the Discovery. Dr. Kreshtar dropped his food sample and rushed to the bridge with the crew. "Solar flare incoming," Lieutenant Park shouted over the noise. "Category 5. Impact in 3 minutes." Jake was already at his command station. "All systems down. Get everyone to radiation shelters." Dr. Kreshtar had read about solar flares. The radiation could destroy ship systems and kill unshielded beings. Most species would panic. The humans moved like they had practiced this 1,000 times. They didn't run or shout. Instead, they helped others. Jake pointed refugees to shelters. Dan guided injured civilians. Maria grabbed alien visitors who didn't understand the warnings. "Sir, the communication array," Chen called out. "It's not retracting. It'll be destroyed if we can't pull it in." Jake cursed under his breath. "Without communications, we're dead in space. How long to manual override?" "Somebody needs to go outside and manually release the locks," Maria said. 2 minutes. Of work, maybe 3. 2 minutes of direct solar radiation exposure, Lisa added quietly. "It'll be lethal." An eerie silence fell over the bridge. Dr. Kreshtar noticed something remarkable. Every human present was looking at each other. Not at Jake for orders. At each other. "I'll do it," Dan said. "Like hell you will," Maria replied. "I know the system better." "Maria, you're needed in engineering," Jake stated. "Captain, I'm the most experienced with EVA work," Chen offered. Dr. Kreshtar observed a debate happening without words. These humans were all volunteering for a suicide mission. They were discussing it calmly, rationally, as if debating who should go to lunch. "The flare hits in 90 seconds, Lieutenant Park announced. "I'm going," Dan said firmly. He was already moving toward the airlock. Without a word, the entire crew shifted. Jake didn't order anyone. Lisa just grabbed environmental readings. Maria pulled up system schematics. Chen started preparing emergency medical procedures. They worked as one entity with multiple parts. Dr. Kreshtar followed Dan to the airlock. "Why did you volunteer? You have a high probability of dying." Dan paused while putting on his EVA suit. "Somebody had to do it. I'm as trained as anyone else. But you're risking your life. For my crew. For the civilians we saved. For you too, Doc." Dan smiled. "That's what humans do. We take care of each other." The airlock sealed. Through the viewing port, Dr. Kreshtar watched Dan's figure emerge into space. The human moved with purpose despite the countdown ticking in everyone's head. On the bridge, the crew maintained their duties while monitoring Dan's progress. 40 seconds to impact, Lisa announced. "Dan's at the array," Maria reported, watching her instruments. "Beginning manual override sequence." Dr. Kreshtar noticed something extraordinary. The crew was afraid. Their vital signs showed it, but they continued working. Jake issued calm orders. Maria kept power systems stable. Lisa calculated backup trajectories. 20 seconds. Connection released. Dan's voice crackled over comms. "Array retracting. Dan, get back here now," Jake ordered. Dr. Kreshtar watched the human push off from the array, rocketing back toward the ship. But the airlock was 30 meters away. Too far. The flare would hit before Dan reached safety. Connection. "Successful," Maria announced as the communication array locked into its protective position. 10 seconds. Dr. Kreshtar saw fear flash across every human face, not for themselves, but for their colleague drifting in space. Then something remarkable happened. Jake spoke into his comm, his voice steady despite everything. "Dan, we're all here waiting for you. Lisa's got the medical bay ready. Maria's going to complain about you getting EVA suit scorch marks on her equipment. Chen's already planning your stupid heroic act speech. We're going to be okay because of what you did. Thank you." Other voices joined in. Maria. "You better make it back, Dan. I need someone to help me recalibrate the engines." Chen. "Still owe you that poker rematch." Lisa. "Your daughter's birthday is next month. We have that holographic recorder she wanted." Dr. Kreshtar stared at his scanner. Something impossible was happening. Dan's vital signs were changing. His heart rate slowed, his muscle response improved. He was moving faster toward the airlock. 3 seconds. Dan grabbed the airlock frame just as the flare hit. Jake slammed the emergency close button. The thick metal door sealed. The ship shuddered as radiation washed over them. Lights flickered. Screens went dark. Then slowly, emergency power kicked in. Dan lay unconscious in the airlock. The crew rushed to him, pulling off his helmet, checking vital signs. He's alive, Lisa confirmed. Radiation exposure, but within survivable limits. How did he move so fast at the end? Dr. Kreshtar checked his readings again. The numbers defied logic. Dan had somehow increased his physical performance while facing death. 3 hours later, Dan woke up in the medical bay. The first thing he asked was, "Is everyone okay?" "Because of you, yes," Jake replied. Dr. Kreshtar observed the crew's reaction to Dan's recovery. They didn't treat him like a hero. They teased him about being reckless. They shared food with him. They updated him on repair status. They included him in every conversation. This casual attitude puzzled him until he realized the truth. For these humans, self-sacrifice wasn't heroic. It was normal. Expected. What you did for family. Over the following days, as the crew repaired the ship, Dr. Kreshtar witnessed countless small acts of strength drawn from connection. When Jake worked 18 hours straight coordinating repairs, the crew brought him meals without being asked. When Lisa collapsed from exhaustion, Dan covered her shifts. When Maria burned her hand on a hot circuit, Chen already had medical supplies ready. They anticipated each other's needs. They shared burdens without counting who carried more. They celebrated small victories together and faced setbacks as a unit. "I don't understand," Dr. Kreshtar finally admitted to Jake. "Your species seems to gain strength from helping others. This defies logic." Jake considered this while watching his crew work. "Maybe it's because we know we're stronger together than apart. When I help Maria, I'm helping myself, because I need her engineering expertise. When Dan risks his life, he's protecting his family, which is all of us. But you also help strangers, the civilians from the transport, even me. Because that's what makes us human," Lisa added, overhearing. "We don't just survive, we help others survive too. It's what we've always done." Dr. Kreshtar retreated to his quarters, his notes expanding. Day 14. Human strength multiplies through social bonds. Observed individuals exceeding physical limitations when motivated by concern for others. Measured impossible performance improvements during life-threatening situations involving team members. Humans appear to draw power from connection itself. He paused, analyzing the data streams. Most significant finding: humans don't just use adrenaline for self-preservation. They can trigger enhanced physical and mental performance through emotional connection to others. Fear for a colleague's safety produces measurable strength increases. Worry about team welfare enhances focus and problem-solving abilities. A soft knock interrupted his work. Maria stood at his door, holding a steaming cup. "Thought you might want some tea. Human blend, but synthesized to be safe for Vexnari physiology." This simple kindness, unprompted and unnecessary, represented everything Dr. Kreshtar was learning about human strength. "Thank you," he said, accepting the cup. "Maria, may I ask you something?" "Sure, Doc. When Dan was in danger, you all spoke to him. Your words seemed to help him perform beyond normal capabilities. How is this possible?" Maria smiled. "When you care about someone, you find strength you didn't know you had. Dan knew we needed him to make it back. He knew we were all counting on him. That's powerful motivation. So human strength comes from caring? It comes from connection, from knowing you're not alone, that even when things are impossible, your family has your back." After Maria left, Dr. Kreshtar stared at his tea. Steam rose in patterns that reminded him of solar flares. But the comparison didn't frighten him anymore. He had watched humans face deadly radiation with calm determination. He had seen them perform impossible feats out of love for their crew. He had observed them create strength in each other through simple acts of kindness. Tomorrow he would begin his final report. But tonight, He sipped his tea and wondered whether any other species in the galaxy understood the true nature of strength. The humans had taught him that power didn't come from individual capabilities. It came from the connections between individuals. It grew from shared purpose, mutual care, and the simple certainty that you would never face challenges alone. No wonder the galactic community found human strength so confusing. They had been measuring the wrong things all along. 1 month after the solar flare incident, Dr. Kreshtar stood once again before the Galactic Science Council. This time, he wasn't nervous. He carried the truth about human strength. "Council members," he began, "I have completed my investigation into the human species. What I found changes our understanding of strength itself." The vast chamber fell silent. 60 different species waited to hear his findings. Initially, I believed human strength was biological. Their adrenaline response allows them to exceed normal physical limits. This is true, but it is only the beginning. Dr. Kreshtar activated his presentation. Images of the Discovery's crew appeared on screens throughout the chamber. Humans possess 3 types of strength that work together. First, biological strength, their stress response system. Second, psychological strength, their ability to channel fear into focused action. Third, and most importantly, social strength, their capacity to draw power from connections with others. A council member from the Krexhai Empire interrupted. "You speak of emotions. Emotions are weakness." "That is what I believed," Dr. Kreshtar replied. "I was wrong. Watch this." He showed the footage of Dan catching the beam to save Maria. This human exceeded his muscle capacity by 400%. His motivation was protecting a colleague. Next came the video of the rescue mission. During this combat situation, humans demonstrated enhanced pattern recognition and motor control. Fear of civilians being harmed improved their performance. The council watched Dan's spacewalk during the solar flare. This human exposed himself to lethal radiation. His crew's emotional support enabled him to move faster than previously measured limits. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several council members exchanged glances. "These are biological impossibilities," the Vecfon representative stated. "No," Dr. Kreshtar said firmly. "They are biological realities that occur when humans are motivated by concern for others. Their bodies respond to emotional connection the same way other species respond to territorial threats or mating drives." He displayed his research data. Graphs showed human heart rates, muscle performance, and neural activity during various situations. When humans work alone, they perform within expected parameters. When they work for someone they care about, performance increases by 40–60%. When they believe others depend on them, that increase reaches 80–100%. The lead council member leaned forward. "Dr. Kreshtar, you're suggesting emotions create physical strength?" "I'm saying emotions and connections are as real a power source as any energy cell or biological enhancement. Humans have evolved to tap this power instinctively." Dr. Kreshtar paused, considering his next words carefully. "We measure strength. Wrong. We test individuals in isolation. Humans are never truly alone. They carry their connections with them. When a human lifts impossible weight, they're not just using their muscle, they're using the strength of every person they care about." The chamber buzzed with discussion. Dr. Kreshtar waited for quiet to return. "I recommend humans be reclassified. They are not individually strong. They are collectively strong. Their power comes from their social bonds, their empathy, their drive to protect and help others." After several hours of questions and debate, the council session ended. Dr. Kreshtar was packing his equipment when Jake Peterson entered the chamber. "Didn't expect to see you here," Dr. Kreshtar said. "The council invited a human representative to respond to your findings," Jake replied. "I'm it." "Oh, I hope my report was accurate." Jake smiled. "Mind if I walk with you?" They left the council chamber together, moving through corridors designed for multiple species. Dr. Kreshtar noticed how Jake naturally adjusted his pace to match the Vexnari's shorter legs. "Your report was mostly accurate," Jake said finally, "but you missed something important." Dr. Crescitar's three arms drooped slightly. What did I miss? We're not trying to be strong. I don't understand. Jake stopped walking. You described all these amazing feats like we're some kind of super species, but from our perspective, we're just doing what needs to be done. Dan didn't catch that beam to demonstrate human strength. He did it because Maria needed help. But the result was the same. The motivation matters, Doc. We don't tap into extra strength because we're trying to be impressive. We do it because someone we care about needs us. That's completely different. They resumed walking. Dr. Crescitar processed this information. So human strength is accidental? It's unconscious. When you really care about someone, you find you can do things you never thought possible, not because you're strong, but because their needs become more important than your limitations. They reached the docking bay where the Discovery waited. The crew was visible through the viewing port, preparing for their next mission. Dr. Crescitar, Jake said, would you like to continue your research? The Discovery could use a science officer. Dr. Crescitar stared at him. You're offering me a position on your ship? If you're interested. There's much more to learn about humanity, and other species too. Your research helped us understand ourselves better. Maybe we can learn from each other. Dr. Crescitar thought about returning to his isolated laboratory, writing papers that no one truly understood. Then he thought about the warmth of the Discovery's crew, their shared meals, their easy laughter. I accept, he said. As they boarded the Discovery, Maria greeted them. Doc, hey Jake, how did the council presentation go? They're still debating, Jake replied. Crescitar's joining the crew. Maria's face lit up. Really? That's fantastic. We'll need to adjust your quarters. Maybe get some Vexnari food in the replicator database. Oh, and wait until you see what we're exploring next. A nebula with properties nobody's documented. Dan appeared, followed by Lisa and Chen. They clustered around Dr. Crescitar, asking questions, making suggestions, immediately including him in their ongoing conversations. Standing among them, Dr. Crescitar felt something he'd never experienced in his long career. He belonged. These humans had accepted him not as a research subject, but as part of their family. His scanner beeped. His own vital signs showed elevated endorphins, increased dopamine, and improved immune response. Simply being welcomed by the crew had improved his biological functions. He understood now. Human strength didn't come from individuals. It came from the connections between them. And those connections were contagious. As the Discovery prepared to depart, Dr. Crescitar found himself in the science lab with Lisa, discussing the upcoming mission. Chen joined them, offering equipment suggestions. Maria stopped by with modified tools better suited for Vexnari hands. Thank you, Dr. Crescitar said, looking around at his new colleagues. For what? Lisa asked. For showing me what strength really means. Jake's voice came over the ship's intercom. All hands prepare for departure. Next stop, the Helix Nebula. Let's see what wonders await us. The crew moved to their stations. Dr. Crescitar took his position at the science console, feeling the subtle vibration as the Discovery's engines engaged. For decades, he had studied species across the galaxy, measuring their physical capabilities, documenting their biological advantages. But he had never understood the most important truth about strength. It wasn't found in muscle fibers or neural pathways. It wasn't measured in lifting capacity or reaction times. True strength existed in the spaces between individuals, in the care they showed each other, in their willingness to sacrifice for something larger than themselves. The Discovery jumped to hyperspace, carrying its crew toward new discoveries. Dr. Crescitar adjusted his scanner, not to study the humans anymore, but to better understand the universe they were exploring together. His final research note, recorded that night, was simple. Human strength is simply this. They refuse to let each other face challenges alone. Everything else follows from that. The next morning, when Dr. Crescitar entered the dining hall for breakfast, he found a place already set for him. Maria had synthesized his preferred morning nutrition. Dan had pulled out a chair with back support suitable for Vexnari spines. Lisa had prepared data tablets with translated mission briefings. They hadn't asked him to do anything. They just assumed he needed help and provided it. For the first time in his career, Dr. Kreshitar understood he wasn't just observing strength. He was part of it. As the Discovery continued its journey through the stars, carrying both human crew and their newest family member, the answer to the galactic community's question became clear. Humans weren't mysteriously strong. They simply refused to be anything less than family to each other, and to anyone willing to join them. That, Dr. Kreshitar realized, was the kind of strength that could change the entire galaxy.